Great, great, great. No wonder you are here to train yourself or upgrade yourself in sound management. Our topic today borders on whether or not sound engineers or technicians should be paid by the church while they work in the church as sound engineers or technicians. I know that you certainly would like to share your ideas on that, but I will begin with my distinguished guests. Of course, it is proper to introduce my guests to you, and then we'll pick it up from there. Get ready, get your notepad and your pen ready, and take note of whatever they'll be sharing, because I'll come back to you, my audience, and then we'll pick it from there. Great. So, to my immediate right, we have Reverend Samuel Shamoson, Glory Abbey. Is that correct? Sure. He is the head pastor of Mega Caris International Ministry. You are looking very great.
Thank you.
You are looking very mega.
Thank you.
Maybe you have to start coming to your church so that I can also look very mega.
Sure.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. And next to Reverend Samuel, we have Mr. Akita of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation and one of the key players of the PCG TV channel. Mr. Akita, welcome to the stage. Please, how are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Great. And how is GBC doing?
We are doing great.
Okay, we have a lot to learn from people like you who have set the pace over the years. So I'm sure with time we'll have more discussions on how you have fared at GBC and what lessons the young people can learn from you. Thank you very much, Mr. Akita.
You're welcome.
And next to Mr. Akita is one of our own who is an engineer from the only Mido Productions Limited, and he goes by the name Manasseh. Manasseh, how are you doing?
Very fine.
You look small, but your voice is bigger. There is a contrast between your voice and your stature. Is there any secret? Well, I'll come back for an answer to that question, but it's good to have you on the panel. And my very good friend and brother, I haven't seen for more than 5 years or 6 years, if I'm not mistaken. Paa Kwesi, how are you doing? Okay, so Paa Kwesi. He's the only person who mentioned my name anyway. Great to see you. Okay, and I understand the changes in your face, because the last time I had met you, you were not married. Now you're married, so everything about your face and your voice has changed. Good. So, distinguished panel members, you are welcome. After the show, I may have to question Mr. Dominic Ansansari, the reason why we don't have a female on the panel. Is it deliberate, or there are no female sound technicians or engineers or people with that expertise to share their ideas on that? But my distinguished panel members, what do you think of this topic? Sound engineers, sound technicians working in the church. What is your position? Whether or not these individuals should be paid. I will start with you, Reverend Samuel.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Okay. First of all, I want us to understand the place of sound, the place of engineering in ministry. That's the first thing we need to establish. God never did anything without sound. The first thing God did that we saw in Scripture, go all the way back to Genesis. God came with a sound through his voice. When you read Psalm 29, it gives you the 7 attributes or characteristics of God's voice and what God's voice can do. So I want us to understand the importance and the place of sound and sound engineering as far as ministry is concerned. That's the first thing. The second thing had to do with the topic itself. Remuneration to sound and sound engineers. Must they be paid, or must they use their gifts as a talent to bless God and never be remunerated? Now let's go back to basics. I love definitions and I love to play with words. The question we need to ask first is that, what is remuneration? Once you're able to establish what remuneration is, then you'll be able to appreciate the topic that is being discussed. So remuneration comes from the Latin word muna and munos. Muna and munos. And they all speaks of a gift. A gift. A gift. So at the beginning of the concept of remuneration, there was nothing like monetization. So money, the word money, wasn't the consideration. But it means to place value on someone or his gift or his talent and be able to give back to that person a gift that will measure the talent that has been displayed.
Okay.
That's the first thing.
Okay.
So I want us not to be thinking money for the first time. Unfortunately, that is where we are as a people, as a nation, even as a generation. So remuneration started not with the concept of money, but it started with the concept of giving gift in order to value a gift, a talent, or a skill that is being displayed.
Not to cut you short, was it to value the talents and the gifts that these individuals bring to bear in serving, or it is to appreciate them? I think it will be proper to put a proper line between valuing whatever they are doing or appreciating it. Was it to value?
So the value here is also for an appreciation.
Okay.
So gifts were given in different forms, in different ways, in order to appreciate one, the gifts and talent, and the person that are displaying them.
So it wasn't a reward?
It wasn't a reward system at the very beginning or the core of the word to remunerate.
Okay, thank you very much, Reverend Samuel. I will surely come back to you. Let me go back to Mr. Akita. Mr. Akita, what's your take on this? Should engineers, sound technicians be paid, or like the popular saying, Akita or heaven, what should be the case?
Well, okay, thank you. I think I want to chip in a little bit from where Pastor got to, as God using sound. For me, it's a ministry, not just a work. Because I know I'm working with God's supernatural too. And Pastor will bear me witness. When you are dealing with demons, you don't take cane, you don't take cutlass, you speak. What do we speak? What comes out? So quickly, let's go back to sound as movement of air caused by a vibration through a medium to a receiver. So until someone receives something, there's no sound. As we sit here, a lot of sound is happening outside.
Do you mind saying that again? A movement of air?
Sound is a movement of air caused by a vibration through a medium to a receiver.
Right.
Yes. So if you don't hear anything, there's no sound. And with that sound, living on earth will be difficult and chaos. So that aside. Now coming to technicians and engineers being paid, I will say yes and no. The reason is that we have what we call profession. We have talent, as we call gift. If someone is taking playing of the keyboard as his profession, he has gone to school, study, write theses, come out with a degree. And that is the only thing that the person does as a living. To me, I believe the moment the church decides to engage or need his services, he must be paid. That is my point. He must be paid. If I have the talent, I come to church and I feel like, oh no, this is what I know doing. Let me come, play keyboard. After church, I go home. If it is Wednesday service and I'm not around, pastor will not hold me responsible. But the moment I make it my profession and the church engages me 24/7, you are needed in the church, you must be there. You must be paid.
effectively, you are suggesting that there should be proper modalities put in place.
Yes.
To make it well established whether or not these people should be regarded as workers that
Yes.
should be paid by the church
Yes,
or not.
yes. Because personally, I don't want the situation whereby people saying, but the pastors are also being paid. What do they use? They preach the Bible. They went to Trinity College, they learned the Bible, they come to preach at the end of the month, they pay them. I've also learned the keyboard and then I'm playing. No, I don't want that. It should be placed in proper context.
Well, okay, I'll come back to you, Mr. Akita, but one of the questions that may arise is the ushers who say they also come to church every Sunday and they serve the church and they even stand throughout and walk about. Don't answer me yet. Let me go to Manasseh and I'll be back. Manasseh, what do you think? I would suggest that put your shoes as a technician aside and objectively respond to this question. The man with a big voice.
I don't think that would be fair to me. I'm a technician, so I need to speak for the technicians. So I'm going to start in this way. If we are looking at sound engineering as a profession, that people need a special skill to be able to execute that ability. They have to go to school to, acquire all the skills and ability to come to the church, to come and work. It is not something that we'll say it's ushering. So somebody is coming to church and you just welcome the person just sits to enjoy the sermon and the person goes back and all that. But this...
I'll plead you be careful, say, to just usher someone to
okay,
it is not just,
okay.
It's a whole ministry.
Skillfully and professionally welcome somebody to sit in the church, to enjoy someone and partake in service and go back. So this person here that we are talking about is somebody who is specially trained in, managing even the ears of the people in the auditorium. And I feel it's not just anything that will just corner it aside and say they have to help the ministry with their talent. But since it's their profession, then they have to be paid.
So what's your stand?
My stand is sound engineers and technicians and churches should be paid.
One good reason why?
So my reason is, if the person is not taxed or is not responsible for that opportunity or for that call, and he's just doing it, let's say, it is something I'm doing to help the ministry, and the point that, let's say, the man of God needs him at a service, and he says, my job is calling me, so I need to go. There will be an issue somewhere. So since the person is coming to offer a service and he's dedicated doing that for the service, I think the persons need to be paid.
That's a bit controversial. I will come back to that. Let me go to Paa Kwesi. Just before you respond, for the purpose of media law ethics, I will not mention the pastor's name, but recently, I think just last week, I watched a video where a very renowned pastor indicated that there are a lot of musicians that are going about ministry in churches, and that they are paid and they are gone. They are not winning souls. They are just professional musicians making money from the churches. Are they also not engineers? You may not answer, but let's come to the main topic. In that context, should engineers and sound technicians be paid, or they should not be paid so that they will be regarded as people who are contributing towards winning souls for the kingdom of God?
All right, thank you very much. First of all, I would look at it, if I would say, on a case-by-case situation.
Okay.
This is how I see it. You have had the opportunity to be part of such a training and other trainings. You have been in a church that has nurtured you all these years. I have attended only one church all my life. And that's where I grew up, and that's where I am. and that's where I'll be until something else happens. So I get the opportunity to go through all these things. I come to church every Sunday and all that. And I come for this training and other trainings. And then I join the team. And the church gives me that opportunity to be part of the team, learn on the job, make all the mistakes. I am not scolded. All those things happen. And I'm able to upgrade my skill and confidence. I personally don't think that the sound engineer should demand payment. What I would say is that the church should rather take it upon itself to remunerate such people on some periodic basis. If for nothing at all, there's some sacrifice such people are also making. They will have to come early, leave late, all kinds of inconveniences and things like that. So if it is monthly, every other month, quarterly, half year, or at the end of the year, you call the person or the team and say, guys, we know you have done this or that. Take this and share it amongst yourself, or take this for you, this for you, this for you. I think that's very fair. But if my church has given me the opportunity to learn, make all my mistakes and grow, and another church comes for me, that I believe you should pay the person. Because you are taking the person out of his comfort zone. You are going to demand more from the person. You are making it very official.
No, let me come there. So, Church A has invested in you.
Yes.
And you have acquired these skills over the period.
Yes.
Church B comes to engage your services.
Yes.
Who should Church B pay? You or the Church A that invested in you?
Paying my church, I don't know how that is going to, I don't know how we are going to work that out.
For that one, you don't know how you're going to work that
Yes,
out?
because I don't know how I'm going to say my church should pay. I mean, that I really don't know how I'm going to do that. But
maybe,
at least for me,
maybe Mr. Akita
I
wants to
think
say
we
something
should
about.
pay the person who you are, in quotes, taking out of his church. Because you are coming for the person, and definitely you are not coming for the person for, in quotes, regular, things like that. You wouldn't expect certain things from the person. You would expect that the person would deliver, would be there, and things like that for you and all that. Okay. So that I believe you should pay the person. But this is my church. Here's where I grew up. I've learned this. Yes, I've been part of the team. I don't think the person should demand. Okay. If the church says that yes, pay, that's fine.
Okay. I
encourage the church to remunerate the person at some intervals.
Okay. So far, I think the view shared is that the church should put in place a proper structure to pay the sound engineers or sound technicians. There is another view also say that they should provide something for them periodically, even if they are not going to pay them regularly as other workers of the church. Am I saying of you? Now, can we then ask that should the sound engineers or technicians be categorized? Those who are full-time sound engineers, those who are part-time sound engineers, and those who are volunteers. What do you think on that? And what remuneration should be allocated to such categorized group of people? Let me start with you, Mr.
Yeah,
Akita.
so just as I was advancing my argument by laying the definitions, so it comes back to what most of the panelists have said. We need to put the categories in place.
Okay.
So there are people who have talent, like they have said, they want to use it to serve God. They don't see it as a profession.
Okay.
Those people, we cannot push the argument that they must be paid. That is one. But there are those who see it as their core profession. That is what they eat. That is what they drink. That is what brings food to the table. It's for their living. I, as a pastor, will definitely push for the argument that we must pay them. These are the two. Now, if you read 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 9, it says that it is written by the law of Moses that do not muzzle the oxen that grinds the corn. It says, do God really care about the oxen? So it's a statement to bring spiritual truth. What it means is that what you work for and what you have dedicated your entire life for should be able to be used as God's means to meet your needs.
Okay.
That is one. So I'm a pastor. Let me share my practice.
Okay.
I have a lot of wonderful people in the church. And I tell people it's one of the best. We have people, I don't even want to mention their names because I've not sought their permission to mention their name on this program. But what we did when we started, I identified them because they came with raw talent. They were not experts. So I invested into them. Their training, I invested into equipment. Whatever they ask, I make sure I provide. Because it was part of their training and their development. And I see it as a motivation and a form of remuneration. That is why I took time to define and went into the etymology of the word. So we invested into their training, their love, and everything. Now I tell them, are you interested in coming on full time? They say, no, Pastor. This is our church. You have helped us. You have raised us. So we will work. And then we know you are a giver. And you'll be a blessing to us. I say, fine. So I'll call them and tell them, if you believe that playing the bass guitar, you believe playing the keyboard is what you see God using you for, then we have to develop you to the utmost. And I believe in that. It's a form of remuneration. It's a form of giving gift and placing value on the people. And that's what I've done. Then I tell them, if this is going to be your profession and you don't want to charge it on the church, then develop other people of your kind. Because I know that these ministries or these giftings, abilities will take you elsewhere. So in order for us not to have challenges, make sure you have trained people, you have raised other people, so that when you are not there, your absence will not be felt, your absence will not impact the ministry and the service. People have tried to poach them. I've been with them from 2003. And I'm telling you, they are the best in this nation. If I mention their names, some of you in your profession will know them. And they don't want to leave. Why? Because they know there's a way I motivate them. So for example, your mother is dead. The church will support. I will support. You want to marry. The church will support. I will support. I mean, there's no better remuneration than some of these things. So when they have a challenge, they just let us know, and we make sure that because we don't pay them, this will be a better way of encouraging them and building them and making sure they feel accepted, they feel very valued. Not a case where we don't value them, but we also threaten them and use scriptures to misinterpret their issue of their talent and their gift and threaten them on top that if you leave, this will happen. If I don't find you here, that will happen. The days of doing such ministries are far away over and far away gone. And we cannot do that. So I believe, like my brother said, it is a mixed approach, like in research. Whether you are doing qualitative or quantitative, there is a middle ground that we call it the mixed approach, mixed method approach. So I will go for the mixed method approach. If you believe you are called permanent, 100% full-time, we must pay you. If it is a gift or a talent, or even a profession, like my brother said, you believe that you have gained so much from the church, so you can't charge it on the church. It will be wise on the church and the leadership to find ways of remunerating them. Every year, I have a way of paying back to not just some people, but everybody who works in the church, the ushers, the prayer people, and all that, except those who are working and are well paid, they will reject it. They say, Pastor, we don't need it. But we do that every year, consistently and constantly.
If you're not careful, half of my members here will start coming to your church because they will be.
No, please don't leave your church.
They'll be enticed with your remuneration packages. So
don't leave your church. Don't leave your church at all.
Yeah, no, just by the way, but that's very interesting. It calls for a person or leadership who values and appreciates the services of workers in the church, like the sound engineers and technicians who should be described as workers or volunteers. But whatever it is, that's a good work you are doing. Keep it up. We will visit your church one day. Since it's mega, we can get some mega packages. Let me go to Mr. Akita. What's your take?
Well, okay.
The categorization work?
Pastor, I think if we have your kind, like about 200, no engineer will leave his church. Yes, to other churches. And I want to start from...
Oh, you want to clap for that?
Okay. You can go ahead. You see, Paa Kwesi made a statement that
Yes.
If your church has invested so much in you, you have to give back to the church, right?
And I ask him a question.
Yes, you
if
ask him a
church
question.
becomes, who do they
and
pay?
then if another church comes for you, that church must pay you. The land on Pastor's point that if your church is unable to take care of you, you move elsewhere. Why is he going? And what is he going to look for?
Good.
Something.
Yes. This time around, no skills, but money.
So that is it. And we can't deny the fact that with the economic situation and everything included, you can't just make with, Jiwei, Hemoene, just take this. So that is why I started that it should be structured. If I have come as a professional, so when we define the two, you see, a professional, somebody who has taken a long time to learn a skill, pay him. Then you can also demand, because even God demands from us what he gave to us. So when I engage you, I expect you to come play. Not just playing, but you are playing because there is a God to worship. I have a case. One of our branches helped me, and I'm a product of this gathering. 2007. A training held at Osu, Ebenezer. I think that was the maiden one. I was part of that training. And the branch sponsored me. Not my main branch, another branch sponsored me. So I make it a point that any time they need me, I'll go. Up to today, no church will engage my services full time. No. I can go, help you, set up, train your people. That one is business. But when it comes to service to God, no church will take me out of my church. You understand? So at times, I believe we have to place the whole thing in context.
Okay.
As to, yes, I want to help. This is my talent. I understood the word of God. God says that whatever you find yourself doing, do it as unto the Lord.
So not to cut you short, in that context, should the church invite the sound technicians to be very clear whether you are coming in to serve as a full-time sound engineer, then they will look at the requirements that an engineer of the church needs to meet. Yes. Or the engineer themselves go out and meet the church. Well, I want to be a full-time engineer of the church.
No, practically so, because the problem we are having in the churches is that the leaders have taken it like, just do it. So even as the person comes or not, nobody cares. So then pastor will stand preaching, and then the microphone will start going off, and they will be just raising the microphone. There's nobody there to work on it. But what I see is that the moment I get into the church, I'm part of the preaching. For all you know, the whole day's sermon is just about one soul. The person is sitting at the corner. If the person misses that word, he misses salvation. So that is me. But then as a church, there's an administration session. And you should make sure that anybody who comes to the church as a worker, you know what exactly the person is doing. So yes, the church must invite them. Give me a clear cut. Where are we standing? Here or there? Even if the person says, yes, I want to be a professional sound engineer, pay me. Then you talk about money. If you can't engage the person on that grounds, then you look at alternative. I think that's the best way to go.
Okay, that's fine. Manasseh, what do you think about it? Should we just pull all of them together, or we should categorize them? And why do you think we should do that?
So, hello? Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hello?
Or
Hello?
only, yeah.
Hello? Okay, so what I want to say about this is, with what Pastor said, with his approach, I think if all the pastors would be doing that, we will not lose all these great engineers to the world, because most of the engineers started from the church. So if there are these mechanisms that being put in place, is happening in all the churches, I think most of the engineers will stay back rather than going to play at the club, get some wine, intoxicated, and in the following morning walks into the church. The person itself, it doesn't help his soul. And whilst the person is not well prepared,
I think some engineers will take you on, because the fact that a particular engineer is not paid in church does not suggest that such engineer may go to the club, take wine or varieties. They may go to other places for gigs.
okay, so I'm coming. Let's say we have a sound engineer who is at the church working, and he gets a program somewhere, let's say a band or in a club, to go and play a live band. And the time ranges in the fact that he can go to do that and come back to service the following morning. He will. And in the course of that, a whole lot happened.
Okay.
In the course of that. So instead of the person being at rehearsals, rehearsing with the choir and the band for a proper or a tech-free or HS-free service the Sunday, he doesn't go to rehearsals. He just steps into the church. He begins to work on Sunday, and a whole lot of issues are coming up, and he's trying to solve them amongst while service is going on.
So essentially, you are suggesting that, like Pastor Mr. Akita and Reverend Samuel said, the engineers should be categorized into groups.
Very well.
And they should be catered for accordingly.
Very well.
Okay, Paa Kwesi, a different question actually. Maybe you can bridge it. Who determines how engineers should be catered for in the church? I ask this question because if I have less interest or knowledge about sound engineering, how much value will I place on a sound engineer? Whilst I really don't know what they put in place before we get a good sound. So who should determine that? Is it just the church leadership, or you think a committee where sound engineers report to the committee? I want to know your view on that.
All right, thank you. So what I would say is that it's a matter of conversation.
Okay.
A matter of conversation. You don't know as a church, so you would need to make your own inquiries first before trying to engage anybody and know what the market rates are going and things like that. And then also look at your budget, because the other things that you are taking care of, the other people you are paying, and their overhead expenses and all those things that come to it. So it's a matter of conversation and dialogue.
Okay.
If you want the person to stop all that he or she is doing and come and sit in the church Monday to Monday, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., that is a different charge, and I believe will be more expensive than somebody who is going to come there Wednesday evening and Sunday throughout the whole service.
So you're also agreeing to the categorization, right?
Yes. That's the very first thing I said.
Okay.
That we have to look at it on the case-by-case situation.
Okay.
Yeah, so those conversations must be had.
Okay.
And definitely the church is the one employing. So in most cases, the church would make an offer. This is what we can afford. What do you have to say? the person, okay, I can take this, I cannot take that. If I take this, then I can't come. I can come only 2 days and be here fully.
What makes the sound engineer exceptional to the usher and must be paid, whether a full-time or a part-time?
Very interesting question. I say that because I'm into music and I know the organists and choristers have the same fight. So that's why I say it's a very interesting question. But to answer that and not to sound insulting, and yes, not to sound insulting, we cannot downplay the work and the time that goes into things like sound engineer, an instrumentalist, as compared to an usher, and as compared to a chorister.
But, yes. Not to you, but Mr. Akita, the sound engineer, all he does is to on the console, on the microphone, give the microphone to us. We speak into it. The usher walks all over the chapel, the whole day.
That's wrong.
That is a very dangerous analysis if we want to.
No, but I hope you are looking at it from the...
Yes. You know, I'm a Presbyterian.
Yes.
I went to children's service. And I always pride myself with that kind of respect for everybody you meet.
Yeah.
If the cleaner refuses to clean your office as the director, when you come, will you sit in it?
Yes.
But he cleanses the place. So you must accord him that respect. But when it comes to even work in the house of God, right from the beginning of the service till we end, everybody has a role to play, of which they are not the same. In terms of magnitude, in terms of impact, they are not the same. Somebody will come with the argument that even if the usher is not there and you go to church, you find a place to sit. That's an argument. But in the house of God, there should be order. So therefore, somebody must direct you. Not only directing the person to sit, but at a point in time, the person even assists. When there's a problem, a challenge or whatever it is. So, pitching the two, I think wouldn't be a healthy conversation for us to have. Let's place them in their context. And let me come back to my stand that a sound engineer should see himself as a preacher. Anytime you get to church, because you are only aiding the minister. He is just speaking. But for somebody to hear, that lies on you. It doesn't lie on the usher. You just give your place to sit. But now, like I said, if the person comes to church and that message is for that person alone, by the position of the person, usher, sit here at the back, she's sitting there. Will the person hear the message that will change him? And also that perception is that just a mixer, just open and close, put it on, turn on microphone. Pastor will bear me witness. A lot goes into it. And you see, when you read Psalm 33, right, verse 3, it tells you that David sought for skillful. Why he didn't sought for just musicians, but skillful. And being skillful, you need to educate yourself. You need to train yourself. You need to upgrade yourself. Like Pastor is upgrading his people. You need to do all those things.
Okay, so one of the things I was expecting was that when it comes to an usher, maybe the investment and the training that a person needs to be an usher, the length, the demands cannot be compared to a sound engineer. For instance, we have sound engineers here who they could have gone to other places for their personal staffs, but they are here because they have the church's interest at heart. So a lot goes into who becomes a sound engineer. I have a very technical question to ask anyway, but let me listen to Reverend Samuel.
Okay, so what I would say concerning pay structure.
In 60 seconds.
Pay structure, pay systems are determined by the employer and the system that works around.
Okay.
So please make sure you don't compare ministries with ministries. Some people have deep pockets. Some people have sources of money that you don't even know. What you need to do is be convinced that God has called me to this particular place. And whatever pay structure that is given, God, they are the ones to pay who can begin from that level. God will prosper and things may change. I'm a pastor. I'm on a salary. If I mention my salary here today, you'll be asking, can I even buy the shoe I'm wearing? I can't. But that's what I can afford. So because of that, as a minister, I have other streams of income activity that I do. And I tell all the people around me, sound people, music people, I say, don't just look at the keyboard. There are things you can do beyond the keyboard. Start a studio. So I have people who have started studios in my church. The drummer has his own drumming studio. The lead guitarist, Oreku Kisi, he runs his own studio.
Reverend Samuel, you just broke your law. You say you're not going to mention
but when I said it, they say yeah, because sometimes you need to also mention something to wake some people up.
No, that's fine. So, because of the time, so I will certainly come back to you. So, we all seem to agree that sound engineers should be put in categories. Those who are full-time or professionals and those who volunteer or part-time workers. Now, my last question for the final round, then we can go for a break and come back and take questions from our audience, is that if we are going to pay sound engineers, take this scenario, for instance. Reverend Samuel's church, he is the lead pastor. The structure of his church, though I don't know much about it, cannot be compared to the Presbyterian Church of Ghana structure. So I am in Hope Congregation. Manasseh is in Parousia, and Paa Kwesi is an anointed. We are all sound engineers, and Hope is paying me. Parousia are not paying. Even Hope, they are paying. No, okay, Parousia is paying, Hope is not paying, Anointed is paying. Even Anointed is paying, and whole Hope you cannot pay. At the press before. So, what will become the chemistry? Will it be possible in such structures where the church is not like that of Reverend Samuel's own? How do we transit into that structure? It's a very difficult question. Yeah, I'll start with you, Mr. Akita. And then I'll go to Manasseh.
What I will say is that is about one, the individual. Two, is about the administration of the church.
Okay.
One, if pastors could appreciate the purpose of music in church services, certain mindsets will be changed.
Okay.
Two, you, the sound engineer, are you a sound engineer because you're a Christian, or you're a Christian because you're a sound engineer? You need to ask yourself that.
20 seconds more.
Yes. So it's not about just making money, but it's about service also. Thank you.
It's about service also. Manasseh.
So what I would say about that is if the administration of the church understand the value of the items that they have in the church, they would prioritize it into the hands of somebody that they feel they are not throwing their money away. And with that, they would do, let's say, the needful in catering or, putting structures
that's a very important
in
point.
Yeah.
So when churches are purchasing equipment and you have a sound technician who is not well trained, can he be trusted with such equipment? That's a very important issue we should contemplate on. Let me come back to you, Reverend Samuel, then I'll go to Paa Kwesi.
Okay. So what I was
in
saying,
30 seconds.
What I'll say is that it doesn't matter how much one receives. I'm talking about the variations
in the churches.
One, I've said about the pocket. I've said about the coffers. I've said about resources. Though the same presby, but the branches are different in terms of congregation size, the kinds of people that go there, and the kind of offerings they offer. But whatever you are given, understand that the blessings of the Lord is that which makes you rich, that will add no sorrow to it. Money alone can never make you rich. It is the blessings rather that enriches. So once it is not a money objective, but a service dynamics, God will make sure the doors will be open, the blessings will come. And I want to encourage pastors who are watching us that let us take care of the people God has given us.
Let us take care of the people God has given us. That was Reverend Samuel. Paa Kwesi, your last words on that.
Yes, so I would also just want to add my voice to what my seniors have also said, very similar to what Reverend has just said. Every church is different, and the issues and the challenges in there are also very different, and the benefits are also different. But we should always remember that we are Christians, and we are doing this also for God. And as Reverend said, life is not all about money. Money is very important. Yes, you can't take that away. But we should remember that life is not all about money. There are so many doors and so many things that can work for us when we avail ourselves and do things professionally and do things well. You might not know who is watching you in the church. You might not know who is admiring the things you are doing to call you and give you some opportunity somewhere. Yes, money is important. Yes, we should take care of our people. But as sound engineers, we should be professional, and we should remember that life is not all about money. Thank you.
As sound engineers, we should remember that life is not about money. We'll take some questions from our audience. Is that right? Yes.
Two questions. Just two. The microphone, the first two to raise their hands.
I will plead that the questions should be straightforward, concise, and just mention at least your first name. That's okay for us. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
By your meeting, the Philippine Council, or Emmanuel Presbyterian, dance. Pacho, myself, I can't perceive me can't reckon here. Papa, so for name in your animal paying for Aka. Or some way, man, sending a Mokayano. And Jessica, Senia, Ibinum, so everywhere. No. If I mean, example, if I made you memo as a full and Sanebe fam, you know, now. Vansem was so much man, but Yamia Matia sees a Jessica until I'm a na ye fa me no panyimfo nyina di adanse se adwuma na meyɛ no ɛso Nyankopɔn ani temede de meka afo so ama menuanom a ɛyɛ ɛboa ma Awurade adwuma kɔso sɛ wɔyɛ sound anaasɛ wɔyɛ keyboardist anaasɛ drama ni nyaare sɛ ɔnhwehwɛ sɛ sika na bedi onim Onyankopɔn na hyira sɛ ɔma 10 cities kora sɛnea nyansa ne adwen a ɔde bɛma wɔ bitimi di ayɛ na sɛ wɔtimi di ayɛ adwuma sɛ Nyankopɔn to nenim deme de meka ahyɛ me nuanom nkran ane sɛ momma yadwen ane ya bibiara enye sika na mmom no yɛhwehwɛ Onyankopɔn hene ntere ka sɛnea bɛti asɛmpa no kan tinsia nkyɛmu aduasa mensa no gidi sɛ yɛdi kan hwɛ Onyankopɔn de ne kan a ne aka nyina wɔ sɛ yɛ bonus a ɔde bɛma yɛ bɛda mo ase na menhyira mo.
Just say it out.
Okay, so my name is Betwodian. I really wish my case would have been used as a case study, but maybe probably because of time. So way back 2009, I was working. Church said that they would want to train me to be a sound engineer. So I started. It was supposed to be a 6-month training, but then I added my money to have a 2-year training. My boss is of blessed memory. May you so rest in peace. So, whilst training for sound, I was working for church. I went to school 2013. I took myself through school by myself to become an electrical engineer. I was working whilst I was still serving as a sound engineer. But then I lost my work. I have family to take care of. And the church is not ready to come in for me. So I want to know what you like, what the encouragement you give to me or I would want an advice to know what to do next. Thank you.
Sorry you lost someone, but that's a very interesting one, if I should put it that way. Mr. Akita.
Yes, my brother, sorry for that, but I want to tell you that we are using God's supernatural tool that He started with by creation. That is sound. So I am a view that if you really work with sound and God doesn't bless you, there's something wrong somewhere. Because you are using His supernatural tool, a tool that the pastors use. Just by speaking, something must happen. So I want to beg of you, sit down, go deep within you, have an encounter with God, and tell Him your story, not man. Because like you said, the church couldn't come in for you, but there's somebody whom you are using His tool to work. And I tell you, He will come in for you. Just a quick one. I did a setup for one of our branches. Mido will bear me witness. At a point in time, it was like, oh, the sound is no good, blah, blah, blah. So my pastor have to call him in to ascertain the fact for himself. Let me tell you, just after that installation, about 3 months later, I had a contract that would pay me, even if I could charge them 10,000, a contract that would pay me 10 times what I would have charged them. All I received was 2,000 Ghana cedis. And even at a point in time, I have to use part of that money to complete the installation. So we are not just serving God, we are not just doing sound, but we are doing sound with understanding that somebody has given us a job to do. And in His vineyard, there's no way He could disappoint you. I'm telling you, I'm a bag of experience and testimony when it comes to sound issues. That is why at times I have different passion altogether when it comes. So please, go back to God and tell Him, Daddy, I'm using your supernatural tool to work. Just show yourself and you see. Thank you.
That is well articulated, but let me put this thought-provoking one across. We are serving God. Sound engineers are serving God. It's a supernatural work they are doing. But the church, don't you think, I'm asking, I'm not here to speak, I'm here to ask questions. Don't you think that the church should recall that after the end of the service, that sound engineer would have to walk home? He would have to go to the same markets that other workers that are being paid go and purchase products at the same cost that others are all. Maybe when they go to Tesco market, they say you are a sound engineer, so would you tomatoes in here, you remember on say, oh, is that what you experience? You're not speaking for yourselves. So I think that the conversation should consider those factors as well, so that sound engineers will not feel that, okay, when you get to our turn, do it because your reward is in heaven. But others, is that the picture that is being painted of sound engineers in the church?
I personally don't think so. That should be the case. Never. I was going to ask you to...
Maybe, Reverend Samuel, before you talk, is that the experienced sound engineers you're having? Feel free and talk. Don't say... Okay, Reverend Samuel. Yes.
I want to say that be encouraged. Church is like that. I've been preaching since 85. So be encouraged. Sometimes weird things happen in church, but it's also a testing of faith, of patience, and of character. Please see me after the session. I'm interested in your case. I'm not saying you are leaving your church. No. I'm a solution-oriented man of God. And I believe that once you were working, you contributed. You became a blessing to the church. Nobody should abandon you when you have lost your work, job, and the church must come in when you need it the most. I think sometimes the leadership of churches, and I stand in it as a pastor, we don't treat our members fairly. Even Jesus, after preaching to a congregation, he told Peter and the disciples, please, let's give them food to eat.
Please, let's give them food to eat.
Let's give them food to eat.
Thank you very much, Reverend Samuel. Thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, oh, there's a lady, okay. I wish I could take some few comments from you, but Mr. Speaker said those who say we should wrap up have it. I would like to say thank you to you, Reverend Samuel, Mr. Akita, Manasseh, and Paa Kwesi, and to our distinguished studio audience, and those who followed us online. Thank you so much. This is Mido Productions special, I want to call it the best in town studio, and you have no other place to go for sound, audio, and video except Mido Productions. I'm sure that some other time this conversation will proceed, but in a nutshell, the suggestion is that sound engineers or technicians should be paid, those who are full-time professional engineers, and those who are part-time or volunteers should be put on some package that will serve as a motivation and a form of appreciation to whatever value they place in the church's structure, growth, and progress. Thank you so much, gentlemen. You are all looking good. I hope to see you again. Mr. Producer, over to you.
Thank you.